As you listen to this program, Les Brown will add strength to your purpose. For once you know that it's possible, it's necessary, it's you, and it's hard, you still may ask yourself this one basic question. Why would anyone, as Shakespeare's Hamlet says, suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune? We, after all, are not pain seekers. The only reason anyone of sound mind would choose to endure in the face of great obstacles is this: it's worth it.
Now, tonight, we step up to week 5. We started off the series, Choosing Your Future. We started off week 1 looking at what are the options that we have available for us. What are the many uses of our talents, our skills, abilities that we can begin to bring out into the marketplace in this thing called life? What are the things that we can do? And when you think about what it is you want to do, there are many times when you do a lot of things and things don't work out right. You affirm, you read, you listen to tapes, you go to seminars, you go to workshops, and it seems like you run into one obstacle after the other, and at some point, sometimes you lose spirit, you lose heart, you want to give up, you want to surrender, you just feel defeated that it can't happen. And so we talked about a place where we can retreat, that we can begin to take a stand and feel good about making an affirmation and beginning to say something that will have a spirit of integrity about it. And we said the position that we can take and really be honest, that we know in our hearts of hearts that if anyone has ever done it, then that it's possible that we can do it. In spite of what's going on now, in spite of the appearances, in spite of the circumstances, in spite of the odds, it's possible that I can still pull it out. And then that took us to the next week. That it's not enough to know that we have options. It's not enough for us to dibble and dabble at our dreams. That those things that we want to do, the competition is stiff in life. And if there's something that has our name on it, something that we feel that can give our lives some meaning and value and purpose and some drive, that going after it, that we can't just casually go to it, that you can't stroll to your goal, as we said, that it's necessary that you pursue it passionately with everything in you. And then that took us to the next step, that it doesn't matter about the lack of resources, lack of money, that along the way there will be people who will help you. There will be people who will be responsible to give you some assistance that will make it less difficult for you. But ultimately, the one force, the one driving energy that will make it happen, that will make it become real, that will be able to transform your life and enable you to transcend yourself, that ultimately, it's you. You are the one that will make it happen. You take full responsibility for it. And then we went to the next level this past week, saying that as we look at our goals and as we begin to think about what we must do, here's what we know. That you just can't expect that life will just give it up to you. No. That whatever you want, that you've got to develop an appreciation for something that's crucial if you want it. That it's not going to be easy, that easy is not an option. No. If you want that goal, if you want to achieve that particular experience, that it's going to take your facing reality and developing an appreciation for that it's hard. And that you've got to become comfortable with it. That you've got to make it okay that it's hard. That as you begin to step up to life and look at how you're going to make your signature on the space where you are, as you're going to make some impact on the planet, that yes, it's going to be hard, but you're going to make it okay as you bite off your piece of your dream and examine it. Yes, it's hard. So what? If it's hard, then I'll do it hard. And then that brings us to the next step that brings us closer. And what is it about these people who are able to overcome insurmountable odds? What is it about these people who pay enormous prices for the things that they achieve and the things they reach? What is it about the Pete Bolas of the world who drive themselves, who push themselves when everything in them wants to give up and to stop in the race of life? What is it about these people after their lives have been devastated and people left them and walked away and left them for dead? What is it about them that make them jump up and say, I'm too legit to quit? I got to keep on. What is it about them that make them say that? I'm too legit to quit. Here I come again. They've been defeated again and again and again, had doors slammed in their face, lost all their money. What is it about these people that will make them face dangers and criticism and ridicule? What is it about these people that William Shakespeare talked about in Hamlet that make them suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune? After all, we are not pain seekers. What is it about these people who are of sound mind that will go out there and face this kind of punishment? What makes them do it? That's what I want to know. And when you ask them, they will tell you it's worth it. The people, ladies and gentlemen, separating them, who are able to get what they want out of life. The people who are able to have the enormous experiences that words just can't describe. The people who have found their place, their post. The people that have that certain spirit about them, that certain distinguished look about them, that certain energy about them. If you ask them, if you interviewed a Nelson Mandela, what is it about a man that would say to his captors who offered him an opportunity to be free again and again and again, and he refused because they wanted to place conditions on his being released? What would allow him to say, close the cell and give up being with his wife and children and facing the possibility of being killed every day? What is it that would make a man give up 26 years of his life? If you ask him, why did you do it? He would say, I guarantee you, it's worth it. People who quit, who get real close, and because of some experience, because of some event, because of some comment by somebody, because of some resistance, because of some criticism, if you ask them, what made you think in the middle of the fight when you had a possibility of pulling it out, what made you think about throwing in the towel on yourself or on your dream? Why are you walking away from the arena? And they will tell you, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. So we know that as we look at where we want to go, the people that are going to do the things they want to do, the people that are seriously going to go after their dreams, that are going to go overcome the habits that have been keeping them back, the people that are going to challenge themselves to experience the main event called life, who decide to live it with everything in them, these people who decide to become the explorers in life, seeking ways to express who they are. You ask them, why do you do this? These seekers, we've seen them. These people who just aren't satisfied with just being mediocre. We've seen them, these high energy people who like to experiment and explore and try doing different kinds of things. These people who just won't go down the same street day in and day out. They're always dabbling and getting involved in something. These people who are using life constantly, and family and friends can't understand what's driving you. Why aren't you satisfied? What will make them do that? These people are people, ladies and gentlemen, who have found it in themselves to enjoy being here on the planet. They know that the real event is this thing we call life. And so, as they begin to look toward the future and begin to live in each and every moment, if you ask them, why do you do what you do? They'll tell you, it's worth it to me. It's worth it to me. That has value. See, whatever you have in front of you, your success, what will determine what you do with it, the amount of energy and effort that you invest in it will be directly related to the amount of value that you attach to it. That's what it will reveal. So you look at your stuff. How is it that one of the people standing in the back, Helen, who has now, if you see her and saw her a few months ago, you wouldn't recognize her. How was it that Helen was able to lose 132 pounds after failing again and again and again? Or Renee, who lost over 150 pounds after failing again and again and again. How did they do it? It was worth it. Their health was worth that kind of commitment. Normalizing their weight, being physically fit and healthy was worth it to them to pay the price of whatever it took. How is it that Marty Klein, I was at William Morris Agency in New York this past weekend, and Marty had been smoking since he was a little boy. And we all knew that nicotine is one of the most addictive drugs on the planet. They gave some rats heroin and cocaine, and they also gave them nicotine and wanted to find out which of the drugs that was the most difficult for these rats to stop using. The rats quit using heroin and cocaine easily, but they couldn't stop using nicotine. Just to illustrate how strong the addiction is. And this guy wanted to stop. His father died of lung cancer. He said, this is insane. I don't like this anymore. He said, first he enjoyed it, but he wanted to stop. He tried. Every weekend, ladies and gentlemen, for 14 years, he went to every support group. He went to acupuncturists. I mean, everybody. He can go to hypnotists, everybody. One guy went to him and said, listen, if it doesn't work the first time, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work after that. So let's see what happens the first time. First time, he had a hypnotist put him under. He stopped smoking for 8 months. He said, then some pressures happened on the job. He went back to smoking. And he said he went back to this hypnotist again and again and again. After a while, the guy said, look here, don't come back, Marty. No, I don't even want you anymore as a customer. You just don't even let people know you come to me, Marty. You bad for business, all right? Marty was desperate. He went to the man's wife begging the man's wife, please tell your husband to take me. I'll try harder. Marty had a little ritual. He'd get off from work. He would drive down to the schoolhouse down the street from his house, and he'd smoke 2 cigarettes. He'd take the pack and tear them up and throw it out of the car. Then he'd drive on home. Say, once I'm in the house, no cigarettes, I won't smoke anymore. Get in bed. And then he'd get up out of bed and drive about 5 miles to get a cigarette. Then he'd tear those up and go home again. And then wake up in the middle of the night, cigarette say, come on back again. He said, this is insane. He went to every support group you can think of every weekend for 14 years. His wife said, you're wasting your time and your money. Finally, in one group, a guy gave a lecture one day and said something that clicked in his mind. I said, what did he say? What did he say, Marty? He said, the guy said, the next time you get ready to light a cigarette up, he said, ask yourself the question, are you willing to bring back all of the things in your life that smoking this cigarette will mean? He said he looked back on the past 14 years, how it was impacting his health, how it was impacting his relationships, all the time and money that he'd invested. As he looked back on that and he looked at the cigarette, he said it wasn't worth it. And he never smoked again. Now the question is, was it worth that for Marty? 14 years this guy wouldn't give up. I said, yes. Yes, it's worth that kind of commitment. If you want to begin to do something in your life, who cares how long it takes? What matters is that if this is something that gives your life value, then if it's worth it, you'll do whatever is required. Most people, ladies and gentlemen, won't do that. They become discouraged. When you feel that it's worth it, you don't need any guarantees if things will work out. You don't need to know the outcome if you feel that it's worth it. Just doing it, living it, experiencing it has its own kind of power. When it's worth it to you, would make a lady in Atlantic City born with no arms and no legs. She goes out and, like on one of those rolling tables when they bring people in the hospital, this lady has taught herself how to play a piano, electric piano, with her tongue. She raised 2 children, cooks, with her tongue. People come by and give her contributions. That's how she makes money. She made a commitment. I don't ever want to be on welfare. What would make a person go out like this? Out there year-round. This is how she earns her living. People coming out by looking at her like she's some freak. What would make her stay there? City Hall opposed her and said, you are an eyesore for the tourists that come here. And they tried to file an injunction to prevent her from being on the broad boardwalk, out there playing the piano. She could only lay on her stomach and play the piano with her tongue, and people give her contributions for her courage. And she plays well. What will allow this woman to come out there every day in the cold, in the rain, in the snow, in the heat, and do this? Because it's worth it to her. Her own sense of self-respect. At a time when people who have their arms, their legs, talk about, I can't make it. Depressed, well, I don't know what else to do. I'm limited in what my options are. I've been doing this all my life. Here's a person that has taught themselves to play with their tongue. Oh, when you feel and find something that's worth it for you. Fought City Hall. People told you can't beat City Hall. She won. It was costly. She paid for it, but she won. She fought hard. Why did you fight them? Why didn't you just go home and try something else? She said it was worth it. Anita Hill, whether you like her or not, whether you believe it or not, it's not really the issue. But I wanted to know what would make a person coming out of private life come and expose themselves to that kind of national exposure, that kind of pressure, those kinds of threats. How it would change their lives? What would make a person do that? They had to say within themselves, people who face enormous controversy in life, it's worth it. And if this is the price that I must pay, then so be it. See, when it's worth it to you, you don't experience stress. In fact, when it's worth it to you, you experience a feeling of serenity that other people can't understand. They'll look at you and wonder, how could you do that? How did she do that? How did she handle that? This young girl who now is taking on former heavyweight champion. I'm sure there had to be at some point in time some offers of money saying, look here, don't do this. Or people saying, do you know what's going to happen to you? They're going to make you the victim. 18 years old. And she had to say, so what, it's worth it. No, you're not going to get away with this. No. You're not going to do this to anybody else ever again. If there's any way that you can be stopped, you're going to be stopped now by me. People, ladies and gentlemen, who take a stand with their lives. People who go after their dreams against great odds. People who stand by an issue. Ralph Nader has got to say, hey, it's worth it. They're willing to take the heat for their stuff. Those things that you desire, those things that are important to you, that you have got to decide what's worth it for you. What do you value? Believing it's worth it causes you to exert great effort And great effort releases the creative genius in you. You'll discover things you can do, ideas that will come, talents and abilities and powers will begin to express through you. You'll wonder, where did that come from? I didn't know I can do this. I've been giving speeches and things start happening. And I was a witness within myself say, ooh, that was heavy. Wherever that came from, y'all send some more. If you're a painter, there's people who sing that at different points they know they're no longer singing and you can sense it. They're only a channel for life to express through. When you're writing, there are times you might have some writer's cramps, but after a while it just seems like something is moving the pen and you are just there being a witness to it. When you get into your stuff, when you go up in there and you start going at it passionately and working with it and working with it and working with it, it will reveal its secrets to you. And you discover things about yourself that you don't know right now. That you're willing. A guy said out front, he said, I've been in prison for 20 years. And I've been working on my life, and my life is coming together. I've been coming to these workshops, listening to tapes, and I'm discovering things about myself that I didn't know. My life is on the upswing. I'm proud of me. That effort that he's putting forth, it's worth it. We have two people here. Audia and Jan, where are you? They flew here from St. Louis. Give them a round of applause. St. Louis. These people saw on the program, on one of the Church of Today programs in St. Louis, a presentation we gave, and they called to find out, well, when is Les Brown coming to St. Louis? He's not. Well, when is he speaking again? Well, at the Church of Today. What's the date? What would make two people go see a stranger they don't know, take off from work and pay to fly there, who people who live in the area won't come across the street? What would make them do that? It was worth it to them. Whatever the investment. See, that's how you've got to be about your stuff, about your dream, about your goal, about life. That's how you've got to be. You've got to be absorbed in this thing. You've got to have something that you say, this is worth this. See, goals are things you have. But when you find your life's purpose, that has you. And when you begin to decide to find ways in which you can express yourself more, then you begin to become an explorer in life. And you'll find out as you start tapping on things, some things you will discover that you have a knack for right away. See, you won't just have just one particular thing you do. I love speaking, but I also love training and developing speakers. I love that. I love working with kids, but I'm also developing a fascination with singing. I know there is a voice in me somewhere. And some of you laughing at me will be paying big money to hear me sing. I'm just going to take my lessons, and I don't care what people say. I was taking one singing lesson, and the husband in the back, when the lady called her husband to come in there for a moment, we heard a thump, and we didn't know what it was. And we went in there, and he had drank so much he had passed out. And she said, baby, what are you doing? He said, that man drove me to drinking with his voice. I came back there. She was so apologetic. I'm so sorry, my husband. You know, he's always joking like that. I said, it's okay. I brought him a bottle the next week. I didn't care. Young man suffered an injury while playing soccer in Madrid. His career was finished. And a lady, a nurse there, gave him a guitar. He started taking lessons, playing the guitar and singing. Never did this before. And a lot of people told him, you're wasting your time at your age to try and do this. You've never done this before. But I bet you they're not telling Julio Iglesias that now. What made him do that? Discipline himself to train and rehearse and drill himself and practice and practice and practice. It was worth it to him. It was worth it to him. What talent do you have within yourself that you have not attached some value to it? To really go up in there and explore it and find out what secrets it holds for you. When life is exciting to you, you behold the wonderment of life. In spite of what you might be going through, you get up and you learn how to become a witness with your life. And rather than saying, I'm having a bad day today, you say, oh, life is getting exciting today. I'm building some good character today. Life is checking me out. I know what you're doing, life. Come on up in here. I'm with you. Sometimes you might say that through tears. Come on, life. Whatever you got, deal your best hand. I can take it. Why? Because it's worth it. See, your life is worth that. Your dream is worth that. If you want to write, going to class and exploring what the great writers have done and seeing how your stuff can fit in there, bringing your stuff out there. If you want to sing, hey, no one perhaps might ever invite you to go to Carnegie Hall, but you want to sing, and you're going to sing wherever you can, as often as you can. See, what's important is that you do your stuff. That's what's important. That you realize that you have some value, that you are here, that you showed up for something. And as you explore, as you seek, as you are excited about this thing called life, as you are amazed, as you go through life as a witness and using your life to express who you are and all the dimensions of you, then you have this certain aura about you. You have this certain kind of energy about you that people will be amazed at. What will make you overcome enormous barriers that most people will give up on. Things that you will be able to do and step up to, other people will run away from. I used to do door-to-door sales, and doing door-to-door sales can be cruel and unusual punishment. Knocking on the door. Hello, would you like to buy a nice working television set, no money down? They had those televisions, big ones, Munts and Emerson, those big black and white television set. No, Pam, slam the door. I was working with a team of other kids. One of the guys with me, he said, hey, Les, I see you later, man. I'll wait for you in the car. I said, why, man? I can't take that, man. I can't. No, man, that's not my piece. See, this guy, ladies and gentlemen, had a mother and father to provide for him. My mother was ill, and here's what I knew. I had to keep on. I had to keep on knocking on doors. You know why? See, if I wanted to eat, I had to sell something. So, see, that will give you a certain kind of inspiration, won't it? That would make your hand just come out your pocket and knock on some more doors. All you have to do is just stand near the door. The hand will go up by itself. And the guy said, okay, look here, we're going home. People aren't buying in this area. And Sam Axelrod said, okay, come on, Les. Look, Sam, I tell you what. Y'all go ahead. I'll call you and let you know. I got to sell 3 tonight. Why, Les? We need the money, Sam. But Les, it's after 8 o'clock. It's okay. I'll be all right. I'll get home, Sam. And I'd go. Everybody else gone. I'm knocking on doors. People, you buy a nice working television set? Don't be knocking on my door this time of night. Bam! Slam the door. I didn't take it personally. Went to the next door. Hello, you like to buy a nice working television set? No! Bam! Then some people wouldn't be home. Some people wouldn't answer the door. Then finally somebody come to the door. What time is it? It's around 9, it's 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock. What would make you come to somebody's house this time of night? Are you crazy? No, I'm just selling some real good televisions I believe in, sir. This television better be good. Come on in here, boy. And I sold some. I had to sell some. I came home, Mama, I sold 3. See, when you know it's worth it, the fact that it's worth it to you sweeps away obstacles, make you ignore criticism. When you know and feel that it's worth it, you don't need anybody's approval. If people believe in you, that would be great. But when you feel that it's worth it to you, you stand up for your stuff. My son Patrick, Patrick, he's into music. Patrick going to Ohio State. Senior, he wants to do music. Patrick, man, look here. Use my tapes, use my manual. You can't rap your way out of poverty, Patrick. You can't do it like that. Dad, I want to do rap. Patrick, get you a job. Rap a job. I'm not going to subsidize that. Now, you got to get some money yourself to go in the studio and do this stuff that you want to do. But I will help you as long as you make certain grades. I'll help you up at Ohio State. I'm going to do that. But I'm not subsidizing this other stuff. Okay, Dad. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, Patrick, you understand? Now, don't, your check is not going to come unless you have certain grades. It's okay. I said, okay, now, I would not give up that kind of money. I said, okay, you don't want me to rap no more? All right. That'd have been easy. No, see, it's worth it to him. See, I love him, but I don't like him for that. But I admire him, I said, Patrick, it's risky, man. Dad, are you telling me not to be a risk taker? Oh, no, I'm not. No. But what about all these other guys out here, man? Dad, hey, what does that have to do with me? I mean, they have their stuff, I got my stuff. And I'm going to bring my stuff out here. Isn't that what you tell people? Yeah, you're right. I say, don't be putting my stuff in my face, boy. Boy, he's got me in a fix. But it's worth it to Patrick. And I mean, I can apply some pressure. It's worth it. It's worth it. Boy, I admire that dude, but I can't stand him. See, you have got to know that your stuff has that kind of value for you. That it's worth it to you to pay whatever price that you have to pay. That it's worth it to you to master your stuff. It's not really difficult to do what you want to do right now. Why? Because most people, if you just attach a monetary value to it, that won't work. See, whatever you do, you got to make sure this is what you're supposed to do. What makes it worth it? The fact that you love it. See, if you love it, you can do it 7 days a week. You don't need a vacation because you can't wait to get to it if this is what you love to do. So when it's worth it to you because you love it, you can handle all kind of stuff. And among the things, that whatever you find, just decide that I'm going to master it. You work on your talent, you work on your skill, you work on your product, or you work on your service, and then you go talk to people, and you do it massively. Everybody won't do it like that. You talk to people, make phone calls. You're relentless. You talk to everybody. Have the 3-yard rule. Anybody that get within 3 feet of you, you talk to them about your dream. Hi, I sing. Don't you need a singer? I'll hit a note for you right now. Just let's wait there. A guy called me the other day, and he'd been calling me 100 times. I called him back. I said, hello, this is Les Brown. I'm calling John. He heard my voice. No, the guy immediately went into one of his raps. If you're trying to develop your greatness and boom, boom, I said, wait, hey, bro, hey, hold on. This guy went into his stuff for 15 minutes. After he got through, I said, hey, man, tell me what you want me to do. I said, what nerve? What is guy? He just kept on. Why? That's his stuff. So you just work on your stuff. Work on your strategy. Go at it. Get knocked down. Don't worry about it. Come back again. Go back to the drawing board. Go to the huddle. I can do this. Change it up. I need to call this person to help me. I'll talk to this person over here. I'm going to do this. Here's another way. I can begin to improve it and massage it here. As you keep on working with it, keep on doing it, talking, making calls, talking to people. Do you know anybody that can help me? No? What about you? No. Is there anybody else you think I ought to talk to? No. Tell me what I'm not doing good. I don't know. All right, don't worry about it. But let me ask you this. Can I give you something else? No. Just relentless like that. See, I gave Judy, she called me. She said, Les Brown, I'm not going to help you get your apartment together. I got a travel agency. I said, all right, I'll give you a piece of the business I got in travel. She said, okay. So guess what? Had another agency I was using. And just in her agency, I found out these people love what they do. They start doing little things like delivering the ticket and calling and upgrading me without my staff having to do it. Just little things that made a difference that said, these people are serious about doing business. See, if you ever go to a restaurant and they bring you the food out, and there's some places you can go and they put that food out there and you say, whoa, this looks good. Have you ever seen that? You know that whoever put this together, they love what they do. Raise your hand. Have you ever happened to you before? I was in a restaurant. They brought this food out there, and the way it was on the plate, it had a certain energy and spirit of love around it. I say, who's back there? They said, oh, this new chef everybody's been talking about. I said, take me to him. I want to meet him. I went back there. He said, sir, we do this. He said, come over here. Let me show you what we do. And he would just explain. See, back home, we do it like this, and we have these seasonings. He was just, I said, you love this, don't you? He said, yes. I said, are you married? No, I was going to take him home to work for me. Look at him. But he loved this guy. You could tell. Had another guy pick me up. They had me, pick me up in a limousine. This guy, when he came to get me, he opened the door, and he wouldn't just open the door for you and go get in the car. He opened the door and said, here you are, sir. Give me your coat. And then when he got in the car, and then he sat down. He adjusted. When he said, are you all right? I said, yes. He put his gloves on, straightened his hat, and he says, and here we go. I'm in the back. I say, go ahead on. And usually I get out first, like, hey, I don't need no help to get out the car. But this guy said, I'll be right with you. He ran around, opened the door. He says, here you are, Mr. Brown. And I got out. I said, and thank you very much. That guy knew he was tough. I gave him a tip that made his eyes buck. Woo! But see, that he loves what he does. See, that's the kind of stuff you got to do. When you love your stuff, you're trying to find, how can I master this? And you're willing to talk to everybody about it. You're excited about it. This is you. You are up working on ideas all the time. It's your piece. And if you haven't found it yet, you just keep on searching for it. What will make you keep on searching? The fact that you're finding what your true expressions are in life are supposed to be is worth the relentless effort and pursuit of your dream. Now, those things that people love, those things that we value, here's what we wrote in working on this. Everything that is hard may not be worth it, but for sure, everything that is worth it will be hard. It will be. If it's worth it, it's going to be hard. Remember now, easy is not an option when it's worth it. Roses are beautiful, so are orchids. But it takes more to grow an orchid than a rose. And that's why the orchid has more value. Both are beautiful. But because of what goes into it, rocks compared to diamonds, what goes into it, you just can't walk out and pick up a diamond. What goes into it, the effort to get to it, to make the transformation, that's what the difference is. You look at your stuff, a lot of people run from that. No, you don't want to run from that. You're willing to step up to that. Hey, it's hard, so what? But it's worth this price I'm going to pay. Gladly. Because that's how you will discover the secrets of life. That's how you discover true joy and beauty and meaning in life. What made a famous Amos stand on a corner in Los Angeles and sell cookies that ultimately made him known nationally and internationally? It was worth it. Guy asked me today, he said, hey, I want to, I know this is not a short conversation. We're out in the hall. How did you get accepted in the speaking business? I said, you're right, that's not a short conversation. But see, as I look at him, let me tell you something. See, it is worth it to me, whatever I had to do, financial independence, controlling my destiny, doing something that I love. I used to speak free all the time. Anywhere I could speak, even when I couldn't make any money speaking. I would go just to keep sharp, just to test my stuff, just to work with different type of audiences. I've spoken in bars. People say, you're going to speak? Look at those people drinking in there. You're going to go in there and speak? I will talk to them till they're sober. And I would start speaking to them. I want to talk to you this evening about your greatness. And people start holding glasses. Who's that fool up there? I would go into jails and motivate prisoners. They'd get so motivated, and I say, thank y'all very much. This is Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy, saying it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. And I would bow, and they would applaud and give me a standing ovation. I start walking out, they start following me. I said, oh, no, y'all can't go. Don't get too motivated. Can't do the time, don't do the crime. Oh, no, I'll see y'all next week. Oh, boy. When you keep applying the pressure, when you continue to go after it, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. What will cause people to go out and make mistakes and risk being laughed at and talked about and attacked? What would cause them to do that? A lady who became the president of a company that was dominated by men, a woman who was admiring her, came up to her after her appointment. Said, wait, how did you do this? You're the only woman on this level. How did you become the president of this company? The lady reflected for a moment and she said, I did it by making a lot of right decisions. She said, well, how did you develop the knowledge and the wisdom and the skill to know what the right decisions were? She said, I learned by making a lot of wrong decisions. See, it was worth her making a lot of wrong decisions, risking people talking about her, condemning her, saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Didn't you tell us about that the other day and it didn't work out? She was willing to do that. Being stabbed in the back, she was willing to deal with the politics of the office, of the workplace. She was working in a situation where doing the same work other men were doing, producing more, and she was making less only because she wore a skirt, and she decided to fight it tooth and nail. And she made it to the top. How? What gave her the strength, the intestinal fortitude to keep on fighting day in and day out? Because it was worth it to her. It was worth it. Every step of the way. When it's worth it to you, you use your mind and heart to do what is required. When it's worth it to you, you go after it. You are operating like a baby. It's worth it to a baby to stumble and fall again and again and again until it learns to walk. A lot of people don't act on their stuff, don't act on their ideas and dreams because they are not perfect, because they're not pros, because they don't know how to do it. They don't know coming out of the gate. They haven't learned, and they're not willing to stumble and fall again and again. Have people help pick them up. They're not willing to do that. They're not willing to have people laugh at them. They're not willing to be awkward because it's not worth it to them at that stage of consciousness. So you've got to find something in your heart, something in your life that will make it worth it for you to become an explorer in life. No, you're not trying to seek pain. You're not trying to find ways to destroy yourself. No. But you know that through this kind of opposition, that's how you develop strength. You can't learn good horsemanship by riding a tame horse. No, it's not that kind of situation. You can't fix lemonade with just sugar alone. No, you got to have some sour lemons. So the people that do the daring things, people who've made history, people that have changed the course of history, people that are making the dramatic difference on the planet, if you ask them, what will make you face this kind of heat, this kind of fire, this kind of rejection? If you ask them, they'll tell you, it's worth it for me to do this. They've found their post, they've found their place, they've found something inside themselves that has given them the strength to face the heat. When other people would become cowards and run away and say, I can't do that, they will step forward and say, I will. I'll take it on. And you have that in you. You have the capacity to make that happen in your life. That your life is worth whatever effort that you're willing to put forth. Willing to reject the desire to be average. Finishing this book called Average, the Enemy Within. That you know, I don't want to be average. I want to be different. Now, what is it that we find that will give us that tenacity, that will give us that courage to stand up, that will give us the strength to break habits, that will give us the kind of dedication and determination to come back again and again and again? What will do that for us? How do you find that stuff? How do you find it? It's worth it when you love it. When you love it. That love will help you bridge a lot of challenges. It will help you handle many obstacles. That kind of love that you have within yourself for the things that you do, if it's representing some particular public policy, if it's running a marathon, if it's handling a business, if it's working with the physically handicapped, or working with our children, or wanting to do something to protect the environment, because this is what you said, I finally found my peace over here. I want to do this, and I might catch a lot of heat for it, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm willing to do that. And it will drive you. It will keep you going. Folks will look at you in total amazement, saying, how could she do that? How could she? Where does the energy come from? I can tell you, based upon my own experience, that when you get going, when you get rolling, when you start coming at it again and again and again, even when you feel sometimes that there's just no way there, and that you wonder where you will get the strength from. You want to give up, you want to fall down, you want to turn around and run with everybody else, you're going to question yourself. You're going to say, is this really making much sense? That's all going to happen to you. That's going to happen to you in the midst of all this. Trying to rebuild my life. Most people judging the young man that I talked with outside who said, I've given up 20 years of my life in prison. Most people looking at him would say, hey, he's a loser. You know what this guy said? That my life is worth whatever I have to do to come back again. I got some good stuff in me. And I'm willing to do whatever is required. I know that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be extremely challenging. But I know I got what it takes to do this. I'm reminded of a story one time Jack told that answered a question for me. I've seen people volunteer to run around the world, to swim from one channel to the next. I would say, what would make people do that and not get paid for it? What would make somebody want to climb up the top of a mountain and risk their lives? I saw a special on public television where this team of people were trying to go to the top of a mountain and they died in an avalanche. What made them do that? I couldn't understand that. What would make people do life-threatening things? And he told a story that really touched me when I was listening to one of his tapes. And the story was about two men who went into the military on a buddy system. They went in together. And one day, one was out with the battalion making a patrol, and they were victims of a surprise attack by the enemy. And when they got back, half of the battalion, many wounded, many were worn out from the battle. He was looking through the guys, saying, where's my buddy? Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm sure he was killed. If he's still out there, he's not here. The captain of that battalion said, I'm sure he's dead. He said, I've got to go get him. I've got to go to him. The guy said, no, look here. you'll be wasting your time. You end up getting killed yourself. It's not worth it. He's dead. They had far more ammunition and men than we had. We were outgunned and outnumbered. It's impossible. And he went and got his helmet, like he didn't even hear the guy, and got his gun. And he was getting ready to go. He said, anybody going with me? Anybody going? And the guys looked at him, and they just looked at him, and like they were sorry for him. He said, well, I'm going to get my friend. And he went. And the next day, when they were making a sweep to check out if there were any survivors, to find if anybody was left alive or wounded, or go to collect the dead, they found this guy. And there he was, clutching his friend. He was holding him. His friend was obviously dead. And the captain, the head of that battalion, looked at him. He said, oh. He said, poor fool, poor fool. I told you not to come. And this guy was fatally wounded himself, and he was just about to die. And the guy leaned down to him and held him. As he was holding his friend, he said, was it worth it? Look at you, you're going to die. Was it worth it? And his answer was, yes, it was. And he said, why? He said, you know what he said when I found him? He said, I knew you would come. I knew you would come. He said, yes. It was worth it. It was worth it. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that when we look at and realize that in spite of what's happening in our lives, that we are blessed. We are blessed. In spite of what's going on right now, in spite of the hardships that we've experienced, that each day that we have life, that we've got to go out and look at life and know that the fact I'm here and I got some stuff to do, might not have found it yet, but it's worth my going at it with everything in me. It's worth giving it every fiber of my being to bring it into reality, to express who I am. I got to sing the song I'm supposed to sing. I've got to write the poem I'm supposed to write. I've got to do the work I'm supposed to do. I've got to give the speech that God has given me. And I'm saying to you, your dream is calling you. And it's possible you can have it in spite of where you are right now. That's not important. And it's necessary that you go at it with everything in you. You don't take it lightly. You go at it. And you take responsibility for making it happen. And you own up to the fact it's going to be hard. So what? I'll do it hard. Because you realize that it's worth it. No one can understand. But you know in your heart of hearts, you know in your soul, sometimes you might be defeated, but to you, it's worth it. It's worth it. This is Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy, Leslie Calvin Brown, saying, it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. Thank you. Thank you.
For more information about other products or services offered by Les Brown Enterprises, you can call our convenient toll-free number at 1-800-733-ICAN. That's 1-800-733-4226. 4226. 4226. 4226. 4226. 4226.